careful of the amount of caffeine you consume. It could be troublesome to your heart, which is why I've pretty much switched to water. Anyway, right now I have yet another small tutorial. And as you can see, these characters, or these buttons rather, animate really nicely. There's a heart that beats, a character that speaks and nods, and another character that nods. So what we have here are 3 buttons, a resource preloader with all the texture resources, and a node 2D just to hold everything in. So let me show you the script. So right now we just have a list of all the resource names for each button. Heart list, nod list, and speak list for the heart, speak, and nod button. This variable sprite is for the resource preloader. These numbers here are for our list, or our animation frames. And the delta timer just helps us keep the time and animate things correctly. So, in the startup function, we get the nodes. We get the speak node, the heart node, the nod node, and the sprites node. This function here, the run anim function, runs our animation. We give it the list, our in list, which is our list of named resources, the current number or frame number we're using, and the object that's supposed to get the sprite. And then we do object.setButtonIcon, and we set it the sprite from the list from the current number. The function add heart number and add speak number just increases the heart and speak number by 1. And here we start up in the ready function and we set the process. Now in the process function, we had the delta to the delta timer. And we check to see if the delta timer is greater than or equal to a specific number. And if so, we increase the heart number and automatically run the animation for the heart button. We give it the heart list, the current heart number, and the heart button. And that gives us this animation right here. Now, if speak is hovered, meaning if we're hovering over the speak button, we do a couple of specific things. If the button is pressed, we run an animation from the nod list, the first animation in the nod list, which is nod 2. Okay, so we set the nod list to 1 and we apply it to the speak button. Else, if it's not pressed and we're just hovering over it, we add to the speak number. We run the animation for the speak list, and we use speak number for our position in the list, and we apply it to our speak button. Otherwise, if we're not hovering over it or pressing it, we set the speak number to 0. We run the animation. We give it the speak list. And we set to the speak number in the speak list on the speak button. So we get this. Nothing happening. Mouse over. Mouse click. And for our nod button, it's just if it's pressed, we run the specific animation, nod list 1 and nod. Otherwise, we set it back to 0. Which gives us this nodding animation, which does actually modify the button's size. So buttons will modify their size dynamically if the image on them changes. And we set the delta timer to 0. And our run animation function, we just pass it the list, the current number in the list, and the current object we're going to be applying the texture to. And all it does is take the object that we're setting the texture to, we set the button icon, and then we just get the resource preloader, which we named sprites, and we get the resource, and we get the name by getting the list and the current number or current index number of that list, which pretty much just sets the image, which gives us really simple animated buttons, depending on how we're mousing over and how we're clicking on it. Which, if you ever wanted to do animated buttons, this is pretty much the best way, or at least the only way I know of, until Godot gets animated buttons. And yes, I tried using an animated sprite, or by using a sprite animation. Yeah, I tried using sprite frames on a button and it did not work. But you can apply this to any button or to the top of a scene tree, as long as you get the specific nodes to do it with. And make sure that your sprite resource preloader has the resources in it. The reason why I like the resource preloader is I don't have to write in every single pointer to every single resource into the script. I can just get the resource preloader and get the resource by name. And how the resource preloader works is it actually gets a pointer to the resource, not the resource itself. So you can alter the resources, and then the resource preloader, since it's just pointing to that resource, you don't ever have to redo the resources unless you've moved them or deleted them. Basically, you can just hit this to load the resource, go into the resources, grab one or shift grab a bunch. You can also hit Control and click to grab individuals, and just hit the open button to pull them all in. That's pretty much it, but I'm going to show you something real quick. Since I've been working on Adventure's Edge, oh, there we go. doing everything from the left click button, just because if at some point I might want to take this and put it on a mobile platform. I probably won't. But here I can actually give them items now. And congratulations, it's a potato. I can also capture that potato and see it in my storage. Let's return these back to where they go. I'm going to have to make sure that you can't move these around while you're in the middle of a battle. But that's some of what I've been working on. Anyway, if you liked this, or if you found this tutorial useful, go ahead and hit the like button so you can ring my bell. And then check out my Patreon, patreon.com/planetkiller. You can support my tutorials and various other things I do.